What's up, you guys? Welcome back to the channel. For those of you who are new, my name is Evan and I make videos about hot stocks, dividends, and options. So if that interests you guys, make sure you subscribe and hit the notification bell so you never miss when I upload. Now in today's video, we're going to go over why NIO continues to be a good buy, even though they continue to pull back and they have these red days pretty often. Now I'm also going to go over why they continue to pull back and they pull back to these consolidation areas and why they haven't been continuing to go up like they have previously. But we're also going to take a look at those consolidation areas and where NIO could continue pulling back to if they continue going down in the red. But before we actually jump into the video, if you guys wouldn't mind going down and hitting the like button, I would really appreciate it, and it really helps out the channel and it lets me know that you guys enjoy these video updates every day. So again, if you guys wouldn't mind going down and hitting the like button, I would really appreciate it. But now getting into the share price of NIO today, they're down right around 4% and they're trading right around that $44 area. And this isn't actually a surprising area for NIO to be pulling back to, because as we're going to go over in a couple minutes here, you'll be able to see that this is kind of a consolidation area that NIO has had in the past. They've used this area as support and resistance multiple times. And so if they're kind of consolidating around this area, obviously they could either continue going down or they could start rising up from this area. But I'm willing to bet that they're going to continue going up after they consolidate here for a little while. But on the 1 week, NIO is down quite a substantial amount and they're down almost 12% at 11.5%. And you can see that it's been a constant downwards trend all week. And they really haven't had many catalysts to push up the share price. And as I'm sure most of you guys know, NIO is very dependent on news that comes out. And when there's good news that comes out, we see their share price react pretty positively. But the reverse is also true as well. When there's no good news or when negative news comes out, especially in the EV space as a whole, NIO and these other EV stocks are pretty affected and they tend to have a downwards trend, especially when negative news comes out. Now there hasn't been a lot of negative news in the last week or so, but there also hasn't been many catalysts that would push up the share price of NIO, and there hasn't been very much good news for NIO or the EV space as a whole. And so even though NIO is down almost 12%, this really isn't that big of a drop for NIO, considering the gains that they've had in the past year. Because even just looking at the 1 month chart, and you can see that NIO is down 16%, but you can see that it's been a pretty up and down and a very bumpy road for NIO. They have not been trading flat for this last month. It's been very up and down and they've been very volatile. And especially in the last couple of weeks here, you can see they went up and now they're starting to pull back down to previous consolidation areas. But now to give you guys an idea of where NIO could end up in the next couple days or the next couple weeks here, I have Webull pulled up here, and if you guys aren't familiar with the Webull trading platform, it's a lot like Robinhood where everything is free, except you get a lot more in-depth tools at your disposal that can help you trade in a much smarter way. So if you guys want to use indicators and different drawing tools, and there's a whole lot of other tools, you guys can actually sign up for Webull using the link in the description. And when you sign up and deposit $100, you'll get 4 free stocks. So that's a pretty sweet deal just for signing up and depositing $100. But now to actually look at NIO, you can see this top line I've drawn here is right around that 43.80 area. And if you look farther back on the chart, you can see that this has been an area of support and resistance multiple times for NIO. And this chart goes back to December 8th here. And if we actually were to scroll back even farther, you would see that NIO has used this $44 area as support and resistance multiple times in the last month or two. And so it's not surprising, like I mentioned earlier, to see NIO pulling back to this area. Now the second line I have drawn here is right around 41.50, and this is another one of those areas where NIO has had support and resistance multiple times in the past. And it's been a pretty decent area for NIO to consolidate. So I think if NIO is going to continue with this downwards trend, they could pull all the way back to $41. And then if they continued even farther, they would probably pull all the way back down to $39, which has been their low recently. And then they would most likely bounce off of that and continue going up. But I think at least in the short term, the lowest NIO is probably going to pull back is to that 41.50 area. And that's given the fact that they would continue pulling back because it looks like they're trying to consolidate right around this $44 area. And so if they can consolidate around this $44 area, I think they should continue going up and they should create a new upwards trend. And then hopefully by sometime around NIO day, we should see them testing new highs. And I think that's a very realistic thing that could happen when we take into consideration all the things that are going to be announced on NIO Day and all this anticipation leading up to a day like NIO Day. But with NIO pulling back so much lately, why does this actually make NIO such a better buy than when they were previously climbing up? Now, I'm sure most of you guys who have been buying into NIO are long-term holders and you plan to hold NIO for multiple years. I don't think there's many of you guys out there that are buying NIO just to swing trade or day trade. And so given the fact that most of you guys are holding long-term, when NIO was shooting up so high and they had that constant upwards trend, I'm sure that made a lot of investors worried that NIO was going to have a drastic pullback. And now that we're seeing NIO behave more like a normal stock and not have these 100 and 200% gains in a month, I think it makes it a much better time to buy in because we don't have to worry about these huge pullbacks because NIO is pulling back. And they're not pulling back as much as these bearish people would have had you expect. And so with these pullbacks, it's more of a stable time to buy into NIO. And sure, they are pulling back, but when there's red days, those should be the days to add more shares to your portfolio. Now, obviously, I'm not a financial advisor and you should do your own research, but at least in my opinion, that's what I would be doing if I were you, especially if you have a relatively high share price. The red days are the days to add more shares, especially after we've seen these big pullbacks now and NIO can start climbing off of these pullbacks. But even with these pullbacks, and NIO has pulled back from 57.20 at their peak this year, their current prices still tower above their 52-week low of $2.11. So the only way you would really be losing as of right now is if you bought in above $50 and if you have a very large position in NIO. But even if that's the case and you believe in NIO long term, you shouldn't be worried if NIO pulls back because again, like I mentioned, that should be the time to add more shares to your portfolio and bring your average share price down. But NIO is not only getting attention from investors, they're also getting interest from large hedge fund managers. And this is according to an Insider Monkey report recently carried out by Yahoo. And actually at the end of the third quarter, 35 different hedge funds reported holding shares of NIO. This marked an increase of 5 funds from the second quarter, but the 30 that were holding NIO at that time was actually an all-time high according to this report. And so we're constantly seeing more interest in NIO, not only from investors, but also from these big hedge funds. And it looks like everybody wants a piece of the pie of NIO, and they all want to get in on this hot EV stock before it blows up. Now, obviously, we have already seen them blow up, but looking at what NIO has in store for the future, I'm sure they're going to be worth way more in the future. And I think that's what a lot of these hedge funds are taking into account as well. And that's why they're building up these big positions in stocks like NIO. And again, this behavior of these hedge fund managers is only an indication of how they view a stock's long-term prospects. They're not going to be investing in a stock that they think is just going to spike up and then drop in the future. Obviously, they have some kind of a long-term plan investing in NIO. I mean, they wouldn't invest in a company that they think is going to be just a short-term win. But this also doesn't mean that your average investor should just blindly follow and do what these big hedge funds are doing, because you never know, they could be wrong as well. Just because all these funds are investing doesn't mean that's the right thing to do, because you should do your own research and see if NIO is a company that you want to be investing in. And I think one of those things that really motivates a lot of investors to invest in a company like NIO is that they want to jump on a company that's going to be the next Tesla and see those gains that Tesla has been having in the last year especially. Even right now, NIO is commonly described as the Tesla of China, and it's pretty easy to see why, because they're both relatively the same kind of company. Now you could say that NIO makes more luxurious vehicles than Tesla, but they both produce electric vehicles with highly advancing technologies. And one major thing that actually sets NIO apart from a company like Tesla is that they're actually backed by the Chinese government. And so this is one of those things that could help put NIO ahead in the future. When you have the largest market like China and then you have backing from the government there, it almost makes it seem like it couldn't fail. Now, one thing that could be a worry to some investors is that the Chinese government has too much control over NIO. And if that actually is the case, a company like NIO could be delisted in the next few years from US exchanges. Now, I'm not saying that's going to happen, but it's always a possibility, and it's something to keep in mind when you're investing in a Chinese company, especially given their track record and companies like Luckin Coffee. But even though NIO isn't currently profitable, they're producing and selling a lot of vehicles at this current point in time, and they also plan to sell somewhere between 100 and 150,000 vehicles by the end of next year. And as of right now, they've sold 63,000 vehicles. And they're also figuring they're going to have sold somewhere between 16 and 17,000 in Q4 of 2020 alone. So given how much they're actually increasing and how big their company is actually scaling in so little amount of time, NIO definitely looks like a win long term. And even in the short term, they're likely going to continue increasing like they've seen in the past. Now, they're not going to go from $2 up to $50 and see that 25x price again. But long term, they could see gains like that. Now, it's not going to happen in the next few months. I think NIO is definitely going to be a win in the future. Now, I'll say it again, I'm not a financial advisor and you should do your own research. But in my opinion, a stock like NIO, and even just the EV space as a whole, if we look at where EVs are going to be in the future, it would be kind of foolish not to invest in these EV stocks, even if you don't prefer NIO. At least investing in some kind of electric vehicle stock as of right now, I think long term you should see good profits on these different companies. Now, for those of you who made it this far into the video, I want to hear what your guys' thoughts are on NIO pulling back, and if you think they're going to continue pulling back, or if you think they're kind of consolidating around this area that they're trading at right now, or whether you think they're going to start climbing back up. So let me know down in the comments, especially if you guys have done technical analysis, and if you guys think you know where NIO is going to end up in the next few weeks to the next few months. Also, I recently set up a Discord server, so if you guys want to join that, it's totally free. And it's basically a community where you guys can discuss with like-minded people about different things, whether that be stocks you guys are investing in, different EV stocks, or anything else you guys want to discuss. Again, it's totally free. So if you guys want to chat with like-minded people, you guys can either join using the link in the description, or I'll have the top comment down in the comment section pinned. And lastly, if you guys haven't signed up for Webull, make sure you guys sign up using the link in the description. And when you sign up and deposit $100, you'll get 4 free stocks. And this promotion actually ends at the end of the year, so make sure you guys get your 4 free stocks before it ends. Also, if you guys enjoyed the video, make sure you leave a like because it really does help out the channel. And with that said, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you back here in the next one. Bye.